Alright guys, so first and foremost, you guys killed the 1K mark we were going for subs, so thank you so much, I appreciate that. As of me releasing this video, it should be the day before my birthday, so thank you guys, we crushed it way before then. I didn't think we were going to do it, but you guys came through in crazy fashion, thank you so much. I do appreciate it, okay? This video is once again from Doghouse. That's the main place that I will be playing at. It's definitely a roller coaster of a session. I get in 1,400 deep. Yeah. The deepest I've gotten in a little bit, I think, on the vlogs. So definitely deeper than I normally get. Hopefully we can get out of the trap. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see till the end. But there's definitely a lot of action, so I hope you guys enjoy that. And also real quick, up on the screen right there, you will see that is my girlfriend's TikTok. And if you want to, go check it out. You know, she's doing big things. She's been doing it for a little bit now, and she does mental health. So much better than what I'm doing on YouTube for all of us fucking DJs. Like, I'm doing poker content. Like, is that going to help anyone? Maybe it helps you win a few $100s. Hopefully, that'd be great. But she's doing mental health, which actually helps people. If you want to be a part of that discourse, or if there's anything like you're going through in life or you've been through in life in the past, go check it out. Maybe she can help you out. Only positive vibes there. If you go, let her know that Marcus sent you. But don't be negative, because you'll get blocked, and you know, we just don't put up with negativity. There ain't no need for that. There's too much of that in the world. Only positivity, and yeah, you know, maybe it can help you out. With all that out of the way, I'm done ranting. I'm done doing gibberish. Let's get in those poker hands. All right, guys, getting into the first poker hand. I am on the button. I see ace-7 offsuit. I do want to reiterate that when I was like, yeah, I'm just doing a vlog for fucking degens. Like, we're all degens if we play poker, okay? We got a little bit of degen of us. Yeah, I just want to clarify. I don't want to alienate my entire fan base. Oh, he called us degen. Yes, I'm King Degen, okay, boys? All right, I'll bet on snails racing if I can. Anyways, back in this hand, I raise it up to $20. Small blind calls, big blind calls, and the under the gun player calls as well. This is what I'm talking about, degeneracy. You don't raise a7 offsuit on the button for $20. But flop comes out, jack, ace, 9, so we did flop top pair. And yeah, I mean, flopping top pair is not that bad of a thing. Although when small blind leads into 4 people for $20, alarm bells are starting to go off in my mind right now, and I'm definitely a little bit like, oh no, under the gun makes a call for 20. I'm at a point where if I'm gonna raise 20 and hit a flop, I just feel like I can't fold for 20. There's 80 in there. He bet a quarter of the pot and one person called. I mean, they could have ace-5, they could have ace-3, ace-4, you know, a weaker ace. So I make the call, seeing what transpires on the turn. Hopefully it's something good for us. Turn is a 5 of clubs, changing nothing at all other than giving us a fake nut flush draw, because I have that ace of clubs. So if another clubs comes in, maybe I can represent the nut flush. After small blind had bet into 2 people, or into 4 people rather, and 2 people called, he bets again for $75. This is a very strong line. Under the gun makes the fold. Action's back to me. I think it's fine to fold the hand here, but once again, I look back and see that I do have the ace of clubs, so if another club comes, I'm kind of tempted to bluff at it and maybe see if I can take it down. But overall, I think the best play and best course of action is just to fold. Number 1, don't raise to 20 with a7 on the button. That's actually the best course of action. Don't be a dumb degen like me. Learn from my mistakes. Get some help. Get some help, boys. Anyways, I put in the chips for the call because I just, you know, I don't have a good reason. I told you, for the clubs. But when the 5 of hearts comes, I do think that's a good card for me, because now I'm beating the ace-10s, the ace-8s, things like that. I don't think he has ace-queen. I don't think he has ace-king. So when he bets $100, I immediately snap call, and he flips over a hand that we do not beat. It is pocket 9s for 9s full of 5s. Should never raise pre-flop. Should never call it on the turn. Flop call I think was okay, but anyways, on to the next hand. All right, guys, on to the next hand. No more craziness. This is actually the very next hand. I look down and see ace-jack offsuit, raise it up to $60. I have about 63 behind. So small blind, under the gun, make the call, going 3 ways to the flop, which is 5-7-9 with 2 diamonds. Action does check through on the flop, and the turn comes in, which is the one and only bink jack of spades. So now we have top pair, top kicker, and hey, With $63 behind, that's good enough for me. I'm going all in. Hopefully I get a caller, and hopefully I can start chipping up. Luckily, we'll not have to wait too long. Small blind makes the call, under the gun player makes the fold, and we're going to a river. River is a 6 of clubs. He shows he has king jack. I let him know he is behind because we have ace jack, and we scoop in this $186 pot. Let's go on the comeback trail. On to the next one. All right, guys, so once again, this is the very next hand. We did 3 hands in a row. Now I have ace king. I'm in the hijack. It is suited, so I raise it up to 20. Action does fold. At this point, I'm looking like a donkey player. Don't get me wrong. The first hand was a donkey move, so, justified. But people didn't see my cards. So, that's something. Big blind goes all in for $85. Gets around to the middle position player. He decides he wants to go all in as well. He does the same thing, but except for 148. Guys, I'm not folding ace king suited here. Let's fast forward. Dealer's getting all the pots right, and then we are going to a run out. We're going one time, and the board comes bink. That's right, king 7-5. So we flop top pair, top kicker. Jack comes on the turn, and the 4 comes on the river. No flushes get there, nothing crazy like that. We're actually up against queens from the middle position player, and the other player, I believe, had 10s, if I'm not mistaken. We end up scooping this $381 pot, and are taking one step closer to Profitsville. I know what you're thinking. What could possibly go wrong? It's all going our way. Well, just wait. You'll see soon enough. All right, guys, next hand, look down and see pocket 9s. We got beat up with pocket 9s earlier. Time for us to do some damage with them. There's a $10 button straddle, so when action gets to me, I raise it up to $50. Everyone folds until it gets back to the button. He decides to put some chips in and make the call, and we will be going heads up to this flop. Now, the problem playing pocket 9s out of position is you hate half the board on the flop. So when the flop comes out, ace 3-5, it is not looking like the best for me. I raise it up to 50 though, so it got to rep a good hand. I decide to bet 40, a little less than a half pot. I would do this with an ace as well, so I figure that's pretty good. Button player ends up making the call, and when the turn comes the ace of clubs, I decide to slow down and check it. Now, this is a point where I think I could have bet again. If he has an ace, he's probably raising there, so I don't think I have to necessarily check when the second ace comes. It's actually a good card for me. So queen of clubs comes on the river. I check, he bets 75, and I am in the blender. I don't know what he has. I don't feel like he has an ace because I feel like an ace would bet the turn instead of checking back the turn. I don't know what queens he has that float the flop. Maybe king queen that just doesn't believe. I'm not sure. It's just a really weird spot to be playing out of position. Like I said, I don't put him on the ace. So outside of him just binking the queen, I beat all his bluffs. What bluffs does he have? He could have, what, 4-6, a 5-4, 5-3 deuce, things like that. So I throw in the call, not a whole bunch of bluffs, but he did have one of those crazy hands that he probably would have bluffed with. He had queen 4, called 50 pre-flop, and when he flopped a gutter, decided to float. I messed up by not c-betting again on the turn, let him get there on the river, couldn't figure out what his hand was, and he took it down. So I feel like that one's on me. I feel like, once again, I should have bet one more time on the turn, but I didn't. Learning lesson for me. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Did I play it fine? Did I botch it? What do you think, and what would you have done in that spot? I am interested to know. All right, guys, so that leads us to our very first PLO pot of the vlog. I do a $10 straw. Look down and see 10-9 Jack Queen. The person on my left called, person in their left middle position raised it to 25. He got a few callers, so I decided to go all in for my remaining $160. 9-10 Jack Queen, with the queen being suited, is a very good hand in PLO. Middle position player goes all in over the top to isolate me, so it will be just us two going to a complete run out. The reason this hand is so good for PLO is because it hits so much of the board. I mean, anything from 7-8 gives it an open-ended straight to ace-king gives it a full wrap. So anything from a 7 to a king, if you have two cards paired, you're hitting that board insanely well. And that's over half the deck. That's why this is a strong hand. When you add in that I'm suited, it makes it even stronger. Now, if I was double suited, like if that jack was a heart, this would just be a hand I'm getting all in $1,000 with. I don't care. Like, it's that strong of a hand. That's the way I feel. Let me know how you feel. I'm a donkey. What do I know? Flop comes out, and it is the boom 8-9 ace. Anything from a 7 to a queen gives us a straight. Turn is the 4 of diamonds, and the river is the 3 of hearts. So we brick absolutely everything. I let him know that we missed everything. All I have is a single pair. Show my hand. He shows his hand, and he has 8, 9, 6 jack double suited. Not the hand I was expecting. I think he isolated, thinking I was only going to be doing this with aces, and he thought his hand was good against aces, because if you got 4 random cards against aces, like, it's basically a coin flip. But his hand versus my hand, I had him dominated and crushed. But that's poker. He ended up winning, so it doesn't matter how ahead I was pre-flop. I just think he did that because he put me on a hand that I wasn't on. I don't think he expected me to have the type of hand I had. Because if he did, he would have never done that, because he is a better player. So this whole play confused me and threw me off. But either way, he ended up winning. That's how poker is. Time to reload 300 and move on to the next hand. All right, guys, for next hand, I am in the cutoff. I look down and see pocket queens, a beautiful hand. What could possibly go wrong on this, right? Like, we got this one locked up. Raise it up to $20. A couple people fold. A big blind, who has actually been like a thorn in my side on this table, ends up making the call, and the undergun player calls as well. So we will be going 3 ways to this flop. Yep, 3 ways. Hopefully it's a good flop. Flop comes out, and it's actually not that bad. It's a decent flop. It's 10-4-3 with 2 clubs. So when action checks to me, I decide to c-bet here because I have pocket queens. I do not have a club, and I end up betting $30. I actually think my bet sizing's off. I think since there is a flush draw out here, and someone could easily have ace 10 or king 10, things like that, I think I should be upping the amount. I only did half pot. I think I need to do more of like 3/4 pot or higher. With that being said, it is what it is. It's just a little side thing that I nitpick on to see how I can do, play better. So King of Hearts comes on a turn, bringing in 2 flush draws. He checks to me. I bet 65, and action is back onto him. He reaches into his stack, grabs $65 in chips, and shuffles them around for a second before reaching for more chips. Yep. He does a good old check raise. I pretty much instantly fold because I don't see a line on a hand that I beat here. I think he could have, king anything of clubs, and he hit the king, so he has a king with a flush draw. Maybe king 10, now he has 2 pair. Either way, I don't see any hand that I beat that takes this line. So like I said, I instantly fold. Once again, let me know in the comments you think that was a good or bad fold. All right, guys, moving on to the next hand. I look down and see pocket 3s of the red variety. I'm in the hijack, so when action gets to me, I decide to raise it up to $15. People fold as they usually do, but then it gets to the small blind player, and he raises it up to 40. Yay! Everyone else folds, and I think in this position, you can easily fold. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'm in a gambling mood, so I decide to put in the chips and make the call. We are going heads up to the flop, and the flop is decent. Comes out 2-4-5, so we flop open-ended. Action is on him because he is in the small blind. He thinks about it for a second and then bets $50. Now, in this spot, I think I can call or I think I can raise. I actually think raising is a pretty good move in this spot right here, but I decided just to call. Turn comes Jack of Hearts, and he thinks about it for a second once again and doubles his last bet. So he bet 50 before, now he's betting 100. Once again, I don't think I should fold at this point. I think I can stick around, so I throw in the chips to make the call. River comes, and it really doesn't change too much. It's the 4 of spades. Other than making it less likely that I have a set or 2 pair, that's really all it does. Action is on him once again, and he does the same thing he did last time. He doubles his previous bet. This time, instead of betting 100, he bets $200. And at this point in the hand, I go into the tank. Now, I know what you're thinking. What are you doing? You bet 200. He's bet 3 streets. Easy fold. Fold, fold. Yeah, you're not wrong. You can easily fold here, and I wouldn't fault anyone for it. But what is he really representing? Do I think he has pocket fives after he raised me to 50? No, I don't. He's repping aces, kings, and queens. That's really it. And then jacks. But there's a jack out there, so it's less likely he has a jack. But, I mean, I guess he could. Now, what bluffs does he have? Ace, king of diamonds, ace, queen of diamonds, any ace, king that just is trying to apply max pressure, any ace, queen that's trying to apply max pressure. I think there are bluffs in his range. I think his bluffs and his value are right around the same amount. So I think it's 50-50 that he's bluffing or that he's value betting. Now, when the 4 spades comes on the river, are you value betting kings, queens, or aces here? I could easily have a 4 in this spot. Like 4-3 sticks around, 5-3, you know, things like that will stick around. And I don't know, it just doesn't feel like a very clear-cut fold to me. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm insane. All the missed flushes could be betting 3 streets here. You know, there's just a lot of things he could be doing with bluffs. But after going back and forth and tanking for a long time, this is one of the longest tanks I've had, I eventually decide on a fold. Oh, it hurts though. 300 going his way. On to the next hand. All right, next hand we are playing a PLO pot. I am the button, so I decide to start off for $10. Look down and see ace, 10, 10, jack, double suited. Not a bad hand, in all honesty. It's actually a pretty good hand. So I'm happy to see quite a bit of action on my straddle because I do not have a ton of money behind right now. I probably have around 140-ish, something like that. I'm sorry, like 240, something like that. So hijack makes the call, a whole bunch of people make the call. Basically we get around 5 callers, action gets back to me, and I raise it up to 65. I figure if we're going to play a hand, I'm in position, let's juice up this pot. Now this is basically a 2-5 game. That's why the straddle is 10, the bring in's 5, so you have to double the small blind, which would be 10. I'm sorry, the big blind. Anyways, middle position makes the call, low jack makes the call, and one by one people are slowly making the call, which is not what I wanted to see. I didn't want to go like 5 ways to an over bloated pot, but this is poker, and yeah, this is what happens sometimes. Hijack makes the call, and surprisingly enough, the cutoff player does actually end up folding. So instead of 5 ways, we are only 4 ways into this flop. Flop comes out, and it's one of those boards where it's kind of good, but it's kind of not. Good news is we flopped the nut flush draw. It is 7-7-9. So we have backdoor hearts, front door flush draw, and we do have an overpair that tens that could hit and give us a boat. With all that being said, once action checks around to me, I do decide to go all in for 175. There's only 270 in the pot, so I just kind of feel like this is one of those times where I got to make a move. If someone has a boat, they have a boat, and I just ran into it this time. Unfortunately, middle position player, who is the first to act after I go all in, raises, which means he in fact does have a boat, and I have actually run into it. So instead of thinking I had spades for an out also, I am drawing to only 2 tens in the deck. The turn is a deuce of hearts, changes nothing other than giving me another backdoor flush draw, but when the 9 of clubs comes on the river, everything is changed. He had 9-7, he had 7s over 9, now he has 9s over 7, and I lose this pot, losing $900. This is normally where I would stop and just call it a night because I'm running bad and playing bad, but for some reason, at this point in time, I had different intentions in mind.
You're gonna kill him!
That's right, boys. We don't quit. We don't quit around here. We reach in and we get another bullet. Okay, we went through our training arc. We're ready to go. I'm in the small blind. Pocket kings. Under the gun is the only person who called. I raise it up to 25. Big blind. Folds. Back to under the gun. He did a little limpy-loo. Now we're putting the pressure on him. We're putting the heat on him. Why? Because we're done with the training arc. We're ready to play some real poker. He makes the call. Dealer, let's go to a flop. Pocket kings. That's what I'm talking about. Done with the training arc. Ready to win. Flop comes out. and it is 7 queen 6, all hearts. I check it. Getting a little tricky here. He bets 30. Check my card. See if I have a red king, preferably of the heart variety. I do not. They're both black. Does that matter? No, it doesn't. Because once I check, I'm going to raise on this flop. Raise this bad boy up to 75 doll hairs. That's right. How you like to taste of them apples? You ain't faced the final boss, have you? Yeah. You ain't seen a protagonist go through his training arc and be ready to take on any villain he comes across, have you? You don't know about... Wait, what is he doing? He's stacking up his... Shit! He moved all in. Snap call. All right, that's fine. That's fine. I'm sure he doesn't have a flush. Like, we went through the training arc, boys. We can't be touched. All right, we came back stronger than ever. There's no way. First hand pocket kings, we run into a flush. No way. All right, he has queen jack with the jack of hearts. Boom, queen on the first turn, and then a 10. So he wins that one. All right, 5 of spades, looking good. 9 of diamonds, cool. We got that one. Let's go to the third one out. Deuce of diamonds, looking good, and the 9 of hearts. He gets 2/3. 2/3. Pocket kings go up in flames. Yep. So out of that $370 pot, we are going to be raking back $124 roughly. And yeah. Yep. Went through the training arc. Maybe it takes a hand or two to kick in. Let's move on to the next hand and see if it kicks in then. I'm sure it will. All right, guys, we are on to the next hand. This is a PLO hand. There's an under the gun straddle for $10. At this point in time, out of the 1,400 I am in the game for, I only have 180 in front of me. So I look down and see 7, king, 8, rainbow. I make the call. Low jack makes the call, folds around. The person in the cutoff here is talking, and someone like called clock on him, so he's just kind of taking his time. Eventually does make the fold. Small blind and big blind both make the call, and then it gets back to the under the gun player. He decides he's going to raise it up to $70 here. Like I said, I only have 180. I think the right thing to do here is to either fold or to go all in, but I am a horrible player, so I decide, and let's just make the call. Low jack player gets out of the way, and we're back to the small blind player. He reaches over to his chips, counts out a few, and decides he is going to tag along as well. So he makes the call, and by this time, the big blind player you can already see is cutting out chips and probably going to be making this call as well. After the small blind player calls, he's pretty much priced in and has nowhere other to go. So why not flick the chips in? And that's what it does. Going 4 ways to a flop. Like I said, I started the hand with 180. I have $70 in there already. Peak poker play. Just, playing at the top of my game after that training montage. Flop comes out and it is king, queen, 4. What the heck? The training montage paid off, boys. There are 2 clubs though. Straight draws and club draws. Under the gun goes all in for $50. I ask how much it is. Don't know why. Guess I'm just posturing, trying to feign weakness here. Shuffle a couple chips in my hand before I decide that, I guess top set's a good enough spot to get it all in, and that's what I do. I put all my remaining $110 into the middle, and action is back around to the small blind player. Yes, this is very much a donkey move, like I said, but I got lucky and it paid off. Small blind player makes a call and the big blind player folds. So we have $450 in the main pot, $120 on the side pot. We discussed how many times we would like to go. Everyone agreed on twice. So that is what we are doing. Man, I was down to 180 out of 1,400. Top comes the jack of hearts, followed by the 6 of diamonds. I am good there. No one has a straight. Bottom is the 9 of hearts and the deuce of hearts. The outside pot, which is for 120, I end up scooping. That player had top 2. He had king, queen, so we had him pretty much drawing dead. And I do chop up the main with the under the gun player. On the bottom board, he did fall into a straight. He had 10 jack, so going to be chopping up the 450 with him. That's 225 each, and I'm scooping the outside of 120. So I get 225 plus the other 120. That is 345 coming my way from this pot. And I gotta tell you, boys, this feels like the biggest win I've ever had in my entire life. All right, training montage is proven effective. It's kicking in, and we're going nowhere but the stratosphere. Let's move on to the next hand. All right, guys, so for the next hand, I look down and see 6-5 of hearts. I am under the gun. I raise it up to $15. Now, the player we're about to be in the hand with is the same player that I had pocket kings with earlier, and he had queen jack on the 3-heart board, where he flopped top pair with the jack high flush redraw. That's the player we're playing against. Now, he's the type of player where if he has an overpair or top pair, he's putting his entire stack in no matter what. He raises it up to $30, which is a min click. And I'm telling you guys, please don't min click. You are giving your opponent way too good of odds to hit whatever it is they have. Like, a min click is horrible. I make the call and we go heads up to the flop. If you're raising, you want to charge people. Flop comes out, jack 5-6. This is exactly why you don't want to min click. This player, I did the same thing before. I checked to him, and like I said, I felt like he had an overpair, so I knew he would bet. He bet $40. I raised it up to $150. He thinks about it for not too long, really, a couple seconds, and then he says, all right, let's gamble. And he puts all $185 of his chips into the middle. Honestly, I thought I'd put them all in when I raised to $150. I just miscounted, so I make the call. We discuss how many times we're going to go. Same as last time, we're going to go 3 times. First run out is the 3 of clubs, followed by the 6 of clubs. So I boat up. There's a 4 of spades, and then the jack of diamonds. So he has a better 2 pair because he has queens, I believe. And then it's the 7 of hearts, followed by the 9 of hearts. So I do end up getting 2/3 of this $430 pot. That's roughly $286 coming my way. So I feel like we got our money back from the kings versus queen jack fiasco that happened. As you can see right there, he did have queens. Once again, I'm telling you guys, if you have an overpair and you want to raise, or you want to re-raise when someone opens, like I opened for 15, don't make it 30. Don't min click. Do a real raise, okay? Because you're just pricing people in to hunt you down and to flop better than you. It's just not a good move. If you're going to raise from like 15, make it like 55 or something, like 50, 55, 60, something along those lines, depending on how many callers. If there's more callers, you can make it more. Since it was just me, I would say he should have raised around 55. Then I probably fold my 5-6 since it's heads up. But for just $15 more, I have a chance to stack him, knowing he's going to put his money in if the board comes out right for me. And that's what happened. I didn't stack him. I got 2/3, but hopefully, you guys learned something from this and agree with what I say. On to the next hand. All right, guys, this is the next hand. Look down and see 7-8 of clubs. Now, we haven't really had a big win since our training arc, so maybe this will be the hand. We've had some chop pots, things like that. Anyways, middle position raises it up to $15. I decide to make the call. Small blind player makes the call as well. We're big blind, whatever position he's in. That guy over there in the gray shirt. Flop comes out 6-9 ace, so we flop open-ended with backdoor clubs. It's a pretty decent flop. I'm not mad at it. And when he bets $20, less than half pot, I'm definitely going to make a call here and see what develops on the turn. Big blind player makes a call as well, making the pot balloon up to $105. Not that big yet, but trust me, we get there. Jack of hearts comes on the turn, changing absolutely nothing. Any ace was beating us. Any ace is still beating us. Jack didn't help. Didn't help, boys. Middle position player ends up betting $60, and I think about this for a second. Now, let me tell you guys. He bet slightly over half pot. I make this call on a rainbow board. The reason why I make this call is because I think if I hit my card, I will get paid. And the 10 of spades comes on the river. Big city. We got ourselves a straight training montage paid off. He bets $90, and I have no choice but to raise in this spot. The only question is how much. He is fired on 3 streets. So that shows me he is extremely strong, and I think I can get around $250 out of him. So that's what I do. There's $225 in the pot before this river card. He bet 90. I raise him up to $250. If he makes this call, this pot will be $725. And with how stuck I am in this game, that will definitely be a step in the right direction of getting out of the trap. I was going to put the audio on for the live game, but unfortunately there was a tournament going on and you couldn't really hear too much of what he was saying. He was saying things like, do you have 7-8? I don't think he would call 60 on the turn with 7-8. So he's pretty much putting me on my hand. He does tell me he has top 2 pair. This guy has ace jack. I don't know why he's tanking. Like, just give me your money. It's a cooler. I'm sorry. What are you waiting for? If you fold here, I'm leaving the whole place. Eventually he does make the call. I show that 7-8. I think it's a fine call when we're as deep as we are. This guy had like $500. I had like $500. So if you're that deep, I think you can make a $60 call like that in order to hopefully get paid off. That's why I prefer deeper stack poker to shorter stack, because you have a lot more wiggle room. You can do a lot more. So that's why I prefer it. But let me know, once again, in the comments what you guys think. Do you think the 60 was a bad call by me? Or do you think it was a fine call? I am interested. I want to know what you guys think, because me personally, I think it was worth it. But 725 coming our way. On to the next hand. All right, guys, moving into the next one. We are the big blind. Look down and see Jack 7 of hearts. Not exactly the best hand in poker, but hey, there's some things you can do with it. So when there is a raise and a re-raise to 40 by the button, small blind makes a call. I decided to tag along as well because I have 40% of a straight flush. And I also have 20% of a royal flush. So it's not many times you can say that. Look, I like to gamble. Jack 7 suited is a hand that I will play. 40's a little bit rich for it, I do admit, but gamble, gamble, boys. Only one way out of the trap is through. Flop comes out 10-5 Jack with 2 diamonds. Both of us, small blind and myself, check to the button player. We check in flow, which I think is the standard thing here. He bets 85. And at this point, I'm planning on calling. This button player is a very capable player. He could be doing this with ace king. He could be doing it with a flush draw. He could be doing this with 9s. And just since we showed weakness, he wants to take a stab at it. So I am waiting for the small blind player to make his decision, but I already have up in my mind that I'm going to call. Small blind, however, goes all in for $110. Kind of changes things, kind of doesn't. I have top pair, so why am I calling with Jack 7 suited if I'm going to hit top pair and just fold to 1 bet? It's kind of where my head's at. I get a count, throwing $110 in chips. The big blind player obviously calls as well because it already raised to 85, so it's not much more to him. There's $465 in this pot. I'm praying not to see an overcard or to see a diamond. Dealer one time. Boom. King of spades. Well, at least it won a diamond. I check and the button player checks behind, so we're going heads up to the river. It's happy not to see him bet. 7 of clubs comes, and this is where I think I misplay the hand. I check it. I think when the 7 of clubs comes, giving me 2 pair, that's an automatic bet. My hand could look like miss diamonds. It could look like a miss straight of some kind. It could look like a few different things. So I think it's a mandatory bet once I hit 2 pair. But I didn't bet. He checked behind, and I scoop the entire pot. 465 coming my way. Let's go. Yeah, may have misplayed the last one, but won some money, getting closer even, getting quite a big stack, I might say as well. And that leads us into our first bomb pot of note for the night. I have Queen 9-6 Jack with the 9-6 suited and the Queen Jack suited as well. Top board is 9-10 ace with 2 clubs. Bottom board is 4-4 deuce with 2 diamonds. So I am opening it up top, and I have a flush draw on the bottom. Flop checks around. We get to the turns. 8 of hearts up top and 8 of diamonds down below. That does give us the nut straight up top, and it gives us a flush on bottom. When the small blind checks me, I bet $25. Middle position player looks at his cards before deciding to make the call. And then it gets to the hijack player. I will tell you guys, we're only playing 6-handed at this point. Some people left, stepped away from the table, but they will be back. But this particular moment in time, it's only 6-handed, which is kind of weird for a bomb pot, especially how crazy this one gets. Hijack player ends up raising to 75. That gets the cutoff and the button out of the way. The small blind player does make the call. And I don't want to make this pot too crazy right now. I kind of, I don't have the nuts on bottom. I don't even have the nut flush. And on top, there's so many draws that I'm afraid of that I really don't want to over bloat this pot. So instead of raising right here, which I think is okay too, I decide just to make the call. Actions back to the middle position player, and he goes all in for 225. Fuck my life. Sorry I was trying to keep the pot small. Jesus, what the hell was I thinking? Well, it's a good thing we went through our training arc, boys. We could really use it right about now. Back to the hijack player. He's looking at his cards for a little bit. Doesn't take him too long before he decides to make the call as well. And then we're back on to the small blind player. With all the action that's going on, I honestly think that the middle position player just has a monster on bottom and possibly nothing on top. Now I'm hoping he has nothing on top. So when the small blind player makes the call, I'm in an interesting spot. I think I have the small blind and hijack player beat on both boards, and the small blind player, like myself, has well over 1,000 behind. At this point, I think I have 1,800 behind, and he has probably 1,200 behind. We're playing pretty deep is what I'm telling you. I've built up the stack. I'm coming back from the brink of death, boys. We've been grinding, and I think if I get it all in with him, I can scoop him. So before, I didn't want to raise because I didn't want to over bloat the pot. Now that everyone's called and the pot is already far over bloated and larger than it should be, I think now it makes sense for me to raise and try and get this other player heads up where he could have a weaker flush draw, or he could have a whole bunch of draws he doesn't want to fold up top. I think now's a good time to risk it for the biscuit and say those 3 magical words in Omaha: P-O-T. I guess it's 3 letters, not 3 words. Okay? The English language is difficult. Basically what I'm telling you boys is I pot it. At this point, I say pot, I'm going all in. That's what I'm doing. I jam it all in there for 1270. I thought I said 1800. I'm a fool. 1270, still a big stack. And the other player calls the hijack for an extra 120, and I'll let it go to the live audio so you guys can hear his thought process of the small blind player and see the rest of this hand through his eyes.
You raised. How much is the big bet? I only have a. I got 12.
What happened here? I just got all the money flying around.
12.7. So you're going all
12.50. This bomb pot.
Already puts 25 in
Bomb pot, right?
No, you just put the second board just through that way.
I'm learning. You know, I didn't know this was bomb pot, right? It's bomb. How you doing today?
God, what the fuck happened? Holy
Bomb
shit.
pots.
You're leaving. Look.
You're here. Oh no, Billy Jack is here.
I come to see you.
Oh no.
I come to say hello.
No, you beat me all the time.
Never,
You
ever,
scooped my ass the last time.
ever. Let's see if they're gonna play this game. Right? I need to go.
Mario, look at this big pot.
All I can do is court fine. Charge it. Come on. Mario here?
I fold. I don't want to.
How much is that?
Alright, so 225 first. 225.
Okay, so he does eventually decide to make the fold. We have $1,040 in the main pot and a side pot with myself and the hijack player of $240. I honestly think there's no chance of me winning against a middle position player, so I think at best I chop the main pot. Hopefully I don't get quartered. The rivers are up top, Queen of Spades and Queen of Clubs down below. Luckily for me, the hijack player shows that he has Jack 7 for the straight up top and nothing on bottom. So the Queen Jack is a larger straight, and my diamonds do scoop the outside pot of 240. The middle position player, the one I didn't think I could beat, does have quads on the bottom, so he's getting half the pot. But with that being said, I do have 520 coming my way from the main and 240 from the side. So 520 plus 240 equals $760 coming my way, and that is not a bad bomb pot. I'll take that 7 days of the week. I'm actually lucky small blind player didn't call. He said he had a wrap up top and he would have hit, so I'm guessing he had king, queen, jack or something like that. Now, if he had that, he would have had the straight. He would have called. So, I don't know. I guess he hit a gut shot or something. Anyways, he said he would have won half the pot. So, I guess he had king, jack. Not really sure what his other cards were, but maybe he was lying about that too. I don't know. It's just what he said. But on to the next hand. Alright guys, look down and see 7-8 offsuit from the hijack in this hold'em hand. There was a raise to $15 from the low jack. I ended up making that call, not a big deal. Big blind player makes the call as well. So we're going 3 ways to this flop. Flop comes out and it is 10-9 jack with 2 spades. That's right, flop the freaking straight. Man, it's crazy. It's crazy what, one little training montage can do. Low jack bets 35. I just make the call because there's better straights out there. I mean, it is what it is. King, queen, can't play too passive. Big blind makes the call as well. In the turn comes the 5 of hearts. Low jack player is not slowing down. He bets $80. I put in the call for that as well. Still just kind of not wanting to raise and keep the pot kind of small where it is. 5 of spades comes on the river, bringing in the flush from the front door, also pairing the board. But when he checks, I feel I have to go for value in this spot, and that's exactly what I do. I cut out $150 in chips, throw it into the middle, and await my opponent's decision. This is a player I've been beating up the later half of the night, and it just feels like every time he has something, I have something better. Could I have raised him on any street? Yes, absolutely. But I didn't feel like it. Eventually, he makes the call, and that brings the pot to 575. I show him I have the straight. It is good. He mucks his cards after checking them one more time. Back to the dealer, and we take down this $575 pot. Could I have made it larger? I think so. I think I got good value from this, but not the max and not the min. So it's somewhere in between, and that's okay. On to the next hand. All right, next hand, there's already been a $20 raise from under the gun. Look down and see the best starting hand in No Limit Hold'em, pocket aces. I re-raise it up to $70. Everyone folds back to the under the gun player, the person we have been beating up for the later half of the night. It's been rough for him, man. He makes the call, hoping to crack the aces this time. Dealer has a little bit of a problem with some chips, and then decides to finally, eventually, hopefully, put the flop out. Comes out king, king, 5 with 2 spades. Not exactly the best flop, so I check it behind. Do a little pot control. That way protect my range as well, as the GTO wizards say. Queen of spades comes on the turn. He checks it another time. Okay, can't keep checking. Got to bet now. I bet $75. He thinks about it for a little bit, not too long, before he decides to throw in the chips and make the call. Pot's up to $290. River is the inconsequential 8 of hearts. Nothing changes except for how the betting goes. He decides to lead into me for $100, which is a little strange on the river, but with a hand as strong as I have, I don't think I could ever fold. If he's got it, he's got it. Here's 100. I'm giving you some back. So I make the call. He flips over queen jack. I flip over the aces. He did spike the queen on the turn. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough for him to win. But hey, you get an honorable mention. 490 coming my way. On to the next hand. All right, boys, we are at the final hand of the night. It is an Omaha hand. I have $10 on the button. It has been a long time editing all these videos. Anyways, this is the last one. If you're still here, let me know you're a real one down in the comments. Anyways, just so you guys do know, the entire table pretty much called. I think only the small blind folded. So we're going 6 ways to this flop, and we flop gin. Flop comes out 7, 9, 10. So we have jack 8 for the straight, plus we have the redraw to clubs. We also have a higher straight redraw if the queen comes. Yep, pretty much got this board on lock. It's feeling really good for last hand of the night. Under the gun ends up betting $60, which is pot. Middle position player thinks about it for a second and decides, hey, you know what? I got enough of this board, or at least he has enough draws to where $60 means nothing to him. He will throw it into the middle and hopefully never get it back because we have this board locked up. This is our board, boys, no one else's. Folds around to the cutoff player, and just like sweet, sweet magic to my ears, he announces raise. Cutoff player raises it up to 185, which I have no problems with. I'm loving life right now. I'm thinking of just all the money that will be made and where I'm going to spend it and how it's going to go. Oh, it's so nice. I let the players at the table know that I'm going to pot it again. I re-raise up to 555, gets rid of one player. And this is where the hand kind of goes a little bit weird, I think. It's a little bit strange. The under the gun player ends up going into the tank, picks his cards up off the table, announces like how crazy the action is and how like basically no one would ever fold in his spot, but he thinks he has to fold. He's essentially saying he has a straight. He's saying he has a straight with no redraw. And in my opinion, this is way too much talking for the amount of action that's on the table. Luckily for me, I have the straight already, but if the cutoff player has a straight and he realizes this player is announcing he has a straight as well, then he's less likely to think I have it. He could call off lighter. Other people could make moves in the pot. It just affects the action. There's a lot of things that could be changed. So I do understand where he's coming from. Plus, this guy's super cool, super fun guy to play with on the table. I have nothing really bad to say about him. I just think the way he was acting in this spot was a little out of line. Right here, he announces, I'm going to take a picture of my hand because no one's going to believe what I folded. Once again, just announcing that you have the straight and you're folding the nut straight. That's all he's doing right here. It was a lot. It was a lot. But eventually, he does fold his cards. So does the other opponent. And the cutoff player goes all in for around 360 bucks. I had raised it higher than that, so obviously I called him. We discussed how many times to go. We landed on twice. Queen of clubs comes on the top and the 7 of diamonds, 6 of clubs on the bottom, and the deuce of spades. So on each run out, we hit clubs. We did have the same straight, but we hit the flush on both run outs. Either way, the queen would have given us a higher straight up top, even if it wasn't a club, but it was a club. And once again, it's against the same player we've been beating up for the later half of the night. $540 pot going our way at the end of the night. Oh, I think we stacked this guy like 10 times. We were getting stacked left and right at the beginning, so it's only fair that we're able to stack someone. But still, I've been on the other side of it, buddy. I empathize with you. I know where you're coming from. I know it doesn't help, but hopefully you have better luck tomorrow. Let's go to the outro and see how much money was made. All right, guys, so that was a crazy session. Let me know if y'all like seeing more of the hands. It was a longer session anyway, so there were more hands to kind of break down, and it was weird because it's a roller coaster. I wanted you guys to see the ups and downs of when I play and how the session goes. But let me know in the comments if you like a longer style video or if you want them shorter and easier to digest. With all that out of the way, what you guys really want to know, we were in the game for 1,400, ended up cashing out for 2,410, I believe. So $1,010 profit on a very long, hard fought night of poker. We went through the ringer, but we got there. Appreciate the love and support, guys, and I will see you on the next one.